Before we jump into the big game breakdown, a quick shout out to Amazon Prime. Last minute holiday gifts, no problem. Prime's fast, free shipping keeps you covered. Holiday wins delivered, it's on Prime. We're going to go in chronological order, which means we start on Friday night. Number 9, Alabama at number 8, Oklahoma. One of a couple rematches that we've got here in this college football playoff. DK, what do you think might be different about this edition? In addition to the setting, the time of day, might be a little chilly, you know? We might have some conditions in Norman. How are you attacking this in terms of what these teams might have learned from each other, what kind of adjustments we might see?
I mean, if you listen to Kanell DeBoer after the first game, he's like, we moved the ball just fine. We just need Ty Simpson not to throw a pick six and we're okay. So I would expect Alabama to be a little bit more, I don't want to say careful. I just think they're going to try to have Ty Simpson play better. But I mean, for somebody who threw 21 touchdowns, 1 interception through the first 8 games, and then the last 4 had 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. When I look at Alabama, that's the tailspin. Like that's when it started to come unraveling for Alabama. And I don't know if it's a confidence thing with Ty Simpson, like he was, all of a sudden rattled, or it was teams realizing, oh, wait, they cannot run the football. So we don't have to worry about stopping the run. We can do, we can blitz the passer. We can do anything we want. And we don't have to worry about them running the football. So I think this game is really interesting to see how, what adjustments Alabama makes. I know Kanell DeBoer, I hope he thinks they're healthy. Is Jam Miller going to be back? Like 13 players were out for the SEC championship game. How many of those guys come back? So I think, I don't think you'll see much differently. You're just hoping that Ty Simpson plays better and takes better care of the football.
I'm right there with you on this. I think, look, like, obviously, if you're Bama, you're like, hey, we moved the ball just fine in these guys. We doubled up in yardage in the first matchup. We were the better team. Turnovers they're not only luck, but they do have a large luck component, and especially turnovers for touchdowns, like an extremely large, like obviously there's a pretty big randomness factor as far as turnovers. And then what happens once you get the turnover, it's also like extremely random. Otherwise, like the best defense in the country would always lead the nation in turnovers forced and obviously like scores off turnovers. So, if you're Bama, you're like, hey, we just run it back. We do a little bit better with our blitz protection so that we don't get some of these kill shots on Simpson, which is a major question of mine here. Like,
how healthy?
Yeah. Is he healthy? I mean, like I know you've seen kind of the buzz on Twitter. I haven't seen anybody that like a I don't use the term like serious reporter. Like different people have sources.
Burners. Hey, the Burners have been right about some stuff in the last couple of weeks.
Burners been damn right on this Michigan stuff for a while.
Yeah, and my feed is unfortunately just needs a cleanse because it is just flooded with college football burners at this point. I look forward to that happening eventually. But yes, like social media rumors are calling into question the health of Ty Simpson, who we haven't heard anything from Alabama, but I understand why you would ask that for sure.
One of my big questions here is like, what does Oklahoma's offense look like? I mean, I think we're assuming, hey, they're hot garbage. They've been bad all year. Like they can't score more than 20 points, but we don't they've had like 17 days to prep for this. They didn't play an SEC championship game, right? Like they have not played in a while. Like, can they may not need more than like 24 to win this. So can you scheme up a couple scores? I think Arbuckle is a hell of an offensive coordinator, right? Like, can he find a way to scheme open some stuff to play against tendencies and like give Mateer some easy stuff that he can see? Because Mateer doesn't read it out real well. We've talked about this on the show quite a bit. Like, can you find a way to make that happen? And like Bama defensively, I mean, Xavier Brown went down in that game. Jefferson went down in that game. Overton didn't play. Like those are some fairly important pieces for those guys. I don't know what their status is. I think that the spread says they're probably good to go. Otherwise, like if you don't have all those dudes, is Bama really favored in Norman? But like overall, I think they're probably going to go. I would think, or maybe they could have come back in the game and because the game didn't really matter in Atlanta, or at least.
Or it was sideways. I mean, like they could have looked out there and said, "Well, look, we're not going to put them back in."
Yeah,
like we said, 28-7, but it felt like 50-7 with just the way that the competition had been tilted.
I am curious to see if Bama can not give up any freebies defensively, because like if you've made this Oklahoma team drive, they have pretty much driven off a cliff, right? So can you not allow that huge touchdown to Satania, which has seemed to save their butts, like 3 games in a row now? Mm-hmm. So Like, that's my major question there.
We have spent a lot of this season talking about Oklahoma's offense, about how bad Oklahoma's offense is and how some of us don't want to see them in the playoff because we know that their offense isn't good enough to actually go on a run here. We've also talked about Alabama's struggles in recent weeks. And in the first game, Alabama doubled them up in yardage, committed 3 turnovers, lost. But Josh Cuevas was their leading receiver in that game. He hasn't played in a game since. How healthy is he? Will he be one of the guys that returns? Because clearly that was a matchup they liked in the first game. But overall, Alabama's offense, since the South Carolina game, so their last 6 games, they have finished with a negative EPA per play in 5 of those games. The only time they finished with a positive was against Eastern Illinois. So in their last 5 games against FBS opponents, they are not playing well on offense. You look at the first 7 games of the year, they averaged 3.43 points per drive. In those last 5 FBS games, that's been halved to 1.7. Their success rate in the first 7 games was 46.3%. The last 5, it's at 39%. Oklahoma in its last 6 games, 1.64 points per drive, 34.8%. So pretty much the same production Alabama's giving you. And we've talked about Oklahoma's offense all year. For the last half of the season, Alabama's offense has been performing slightly above Oklahoma's. So you're going into this matchup where they're now on the road, unlike in the first game in Norman. They're banged up. The rumors about Ty Simpson's injury. Like, I don't know how confident we should be in Alabama going on the road and winning this game. I think there's a very real chance that Oklahoma can win this one because, like Bud mentioned, they've had nearly 3 weeks off by the time this thing kicks off to be able to get ready for it and be able to just kind of figure some stuff out. They have the first game to understand what was working for them and what wasn't. I do think the bigger question will be, can they run the ball against Alabama? Because they certainly couldn't run the ball against them in that first game. And I think they're going to want to try at least a little bit to establish that a bit, because you don't want Mateer doing everything. Because when John Mateer feels like he has to do everything, that's when he really starts getting loose and crazy with the ball. So that's going to be interesting to me. And also, going back to that first game, Alabama's been pass heavy all year. They throw the ball 55.2% of the time. That ranks 27th. But they threw the ball 61% of the time against Oklahoma. They didn't think they could run the ball, and then it proved to them that they couldn't run the ball, so they just stopped trying to run the ball in that game. I think that you need to try to run the ball in this, because if you look at their last 2 games, Simpson's been pressured on 41% of his dropbacks against Auburn and Georgia. The offensive line has not been very good. People kind of know what Alabama's trying to do. Defenses are putting years back and going after him. You need to take like some of the literal weight off his back, if you catch what I'm saying, by handing it off and not making him do it all. So I think this could be kind of an ugly kind of rock fight kind of game.
I'm curious to see how much tempo they go here, but meaning Bama. Like they have played very slow this year. We saw this last year in the playoff a little bit. Like there are some teams, Ohio State, who played really slow throughout the year, and then at times in the playoff they broke out some tempo stuff. Man, what gets Venables, like they run so many different things on defense. Like if I'm Bama, I think I'd go a little more tempo and just give my offense more cracks at this. Like
first of all, change your signs and then go tempo.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I think our Mason Thomas may play here, which has been big. He's been out for the entirety so far. So I'm curious to see, like, does he go? I think Oklahoma's pretty healthy defensively. Like the injury questions are more on the Alabama side for me.
What's scary about Oklahoma, as you mentioned, our Mason Thomas, he goes. Taylor Wine's been awesome, kind of stepping up in his absence. I mean, so now they got depth to be able to shuttle through. But we haven't even mentioned who's going to have the biggest impact in this game, and it was huge in the first one.
Bowen?
The kicker with the short shorts.
Oh, yeah.
Just took home the Ray Guy Award. Tate Sandell, Oklahoma's kicker. I'm telling you, because I think we're all in agreement. Like, maybe a little tease for the locks later in the week. I mean, I think this is going to be a lower scoring game where possessions are at a premium. Field goals are going to be at a premium. And I do think that's a significant edge to Oklahoma in that one, with one of the best kickers in the country on their side. And Alabama's kicking woes historically have always kind of stepped up to bite them a little bit. So I know they have a better kicker now, but I think it could be one of those games where field goal kicking is huge.
All right.
Something to keep in mind then, if you're thinking about field goal kicking, like the temperature for this game is supposed to be in the 50s, so it's not going to be a frigid game.
Yeah.
But current forecasts are saying the wind's going to be about 15 to 20 miles per hour during this one. So that could have an impact on that.
Yep.
It's gonna be windy in Norman. Coaching edge Alabama, though, right?
On
Yes.
offense, yeah. On
No, I
I think it's a
defense,
really good chess
whoa.
match.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good chess match.
Okay. Kalen DeBoer in big games, still pretty nails. You know, like I understand we just saw him in the SEC championship, but the overall sample size of Kalen DeBoer against ranked opponents is still kind of absurd. The thing that Alabama fans are frustrated about, or especially last season and the opener against Florida State, the ones that are like, whoa, why'd you lose that one? You had more talent. You should have taken care of business there. And, you know, whether it's against Dan Lanning, who he's 3-0, you know, whether it's against Steve Sarkisian, whether it's against, you know, Kirby Smart just got his first win against Kalen DeBoer. It's, go ahead.
What's Kalen's record against Brent Venables?
0-1.
0-2.
0-2.
Ooh, that's right.
Yeah.
Last year as well. I do think Bud's point about Alabama's defense, like you just can't give up that one big play.
Yeah.
Because I mean, watching Oklahoma's offense is so ugly and hard to watch. And Bud called it out last time. Mateer missed like a wide open throw. You could tell the crowd was starting to get restless, like getting ready to boo. And then bang, you hit Isaiah Satania coming on a crossing route. It was a pretty good throw from Mateer. He had to drop it down a little bit. But those are just backbreaking, especially in those low-scoring games when one big play or two could be the difference. That to me is, man, tackling is going to be at a premium for Alabama. Like, do not give up that big play.
Totally agree. I mean, look, I think Oklahoma's defense is their nails. And like part of the reason we think that is because they make bad offenses look really bad. You can nitpick this a little bit. And this is not sliding Oklahoma. It's just like, hey, you know, you got what? Bryce Underwood in his first ever road start. You got Auburn when they were really, really a mess offensively against a quarterback you had in your building last year, Jackson Arnold, right? You got Texas, and they were not very good on offense this year. You got South Carolina, again, like a bad offense, like legitimately a bad offense this year. Ole Miss, no problems against you, 34, right? Tennessee put up, 27 on 456 yards offense. Bama went over 400 against them. So, like the three offenses, and they played LSU, which was, dumpster fire on offense. They played Missouri, which quarterback came back and didn't look, anything special at all, right? Like Oklahoma's defense is really, really good. Like, I don't want to get like this point taken out of context. But the three offenses that I think we would define as like good or better all went 400 plus on them.
I think it's just what your eyes tell you about the defensive line and just our fundamental understanding of like, well, when you've got those guys and they're playing with their hair on fire and you've got some good scheme, then it's just going to cause you're just not going to be able to be on the front foot on offense. You're just going to be really concerned about it. Great question from the tailgate. I'd like to bring it back here. Who do you think Indiana wants to win? The winner of this goes on to play Indiana in the Rose Bowl.
I think you want Oklahoma.
I would rather have Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'd rather have a more one-dimensional team.
I was actually able to ask an Indiana fan this last night, and they said Oklahoma.
Is that just because Indiana is so good at like not giving up freebies?
Yeah,
and I think if you're Signetti, you're like, hey, the variance with Bama and those receivers is just bigger.
Oh,
right?
okay, fair.
They might beat our guys in one-on-ones. Like I just Oklahoma might be playing at a slightly better level on average, maybe down the stretch. And I think, like to Tom's point, that's fair. But like, if you don't give up freebies to Oklahoma's offense, I think you fully expect to hold them to like the teens.
Yeah.
And as bad as Ty Simpson has played, there was a stretch where he was really good. Like I would be way more concerned about stopping Ty Simpson and those weapons as opposed to Mateer.
Yeah, and like to me, the biggest difference between the Saban Tide and the DeBoer Tide we've seen the last 2 years is just the consistency. Whereas like you knew who you were getting with Saban's at Tide every single week. I still think that when Alabama plays its A game, it is really good. It's just it doesn't play its A game every week now.
And we just haven't seen it late season. So it feels like it's been a long time since we've seen Alabama's best. Anything else here before we hit a break and then turn our attention to Saturday's triple header? Any other matchups to watch, curiosities, things that you're going to be digging on during the week? I mean, health, right? Is
health for sure.
Is Alabama's fatal flaw the health or is it the offense? Like if each team has one flaw that could expose and bounce them from this playoff bracket, what's Bama's?
I think you could win this game with the same offense you've been running out there if your defense makes Oklahoma's offense look as bad as it's been down the stretch. If Oklahoma, because you have a bunch of defensive guys out, is scoring in the mid to high 20s, then I think you're in a little more trouble.